안녕하세요, 이정환입니다. 반갑습니다. 저는 지금 비엔나 하이엔드 오디오쇼에 와 있고요. 오늘 하만 부스에 왔습니다. 특별히 제가 사랑에 맞지 않는 JBL 부스, 여기서 신제품이 나왔기 때문에 이번에 차례로 소개하도록 하겠습니다. 우선은 여기 보시면은 JBL의 역사를 빛낸 명기들이 이렇게 전시되어 있습니다. 왜 그러냐면은 올해가 창업 80주년이 되는 해기 때문에 이번에 특별하게 이제 서미트 시리즈의 최고 모델들도 나왔고, 그런 과정에서 과거 유산들을 한 번씩 둘러보는 그런 일종의 박물관 같은 부스를 여기 또 설치했습니다. 이런 경우는 참 드문데, 저 끝으로 먼저 가서 설명을 드리면, JBL 창업자인 이제 제임스 B 랜싱, 이분이 처음에 이제 라디오 제작으로 시작을 했죠. 근데 당시 1920년대 30년대 라디오 비즈니스는 그 당시엔 첨단 사업이었습니다. 정말 JBL 콜렉터라면 정말 갖고 싶은 그런 모델이 여기에 이번에 특별히 나와가지고 아주 재밌고요. 제임스 B 랜싱, 이분이 JBL을 창업하기 전에 랜싱 컴퍼니, 랜싱 컴퍼니를 이제 운영하면서 이때는 이제 극장용 스피커를 많이 만들었습니다. 그래서 사실 그 30년대 아카데미 특별상, 기술상을 받기도 했고요. 여기 나온 아이코닉 같은 스피커는 후대에 큰 영향을 준 스피커입니다. 그 시절에 나온 그 랜싱 시대에 나온 이런 이제 또 제품이 하나 전시되어 있는데, 저도 처음 보고 정말 감회가 새롭네요. 그리고 여기는 이제 1970년대 JBL의 모습을 담고 있는데, 이 당시에는 이제 하만 카드 산하에 들어가면서 보다 이렇게 많은 대중을 위한 그런 이제 소형 북세프 스피커들로 이제 시작을 많이 했습니다. 이게 사실 가정용으로 우리에게 이제 친숙한, 우리가 JBL 하면 이제 바로 이 시기부터 우리하고 친숙하게 된 거죠. 이게 이제 전설적인 L100이고, 여기가 이제 쿼드렉스 폼이라고 해서 일종의 벽돌 무늬로 만들어진 이런 그릴인데, 이게 당시에도 센세이션을 했고 지금 봐도 되게 신선합니다. 요 L100은 나중에 다시 리바이벌이 됐죠. 그리고 요거는 이제 L300이란 모델입니다. 요거는 제가 정말 꼭 한번 들여놓고 싶은 스피커이긴 한데, 이렇게 잠깐 열어볼게요. 열어보시면은 이렇게 이제 우리가 크리스탈 트위터라고 부르는 이제 2개의 트위터가 있고, 밑에 혼이 있고 음영 렌즈가 있습니다. 그리고 15인치 우퍼. 그 다음에 이거는 이제 하만 카든에서 나온 그 당시에 그 하만 사이테이션이라는 앰프죠. 하만 카든에서 나온 요거 이제 앰프, 요 프리파워 이렇게 해서 진열을 했고요. 자, 그러면 이제 서밋 시리즈를 중심으로 해서 다시 한번 이야기를 이어가도록 하겠습니다. 이번에 서밋 시리즈의 플래그십 스피커 에베레스트하고 K2 한번 만나보도록 하겠습니다. 이게 어마어마하죠. 이번에 나온 그 에베레스트하고 K2에는 아주 특별한 트위터가 들어가 있습니다. 여기 이제 보통 컴프레션 드라이버를 하나 쓰는데, 여기는 컴프레션 드라이버를 2개로 페어로 해가지고 무려 3세트 총 6개의 컴프레션 드라이버를 사용해가지고 하나의 그 포인트로 나오게 이렇게 뾰족하게 보이죠. 요게 트위터 배출구입니다. 여기 보면 이게 이제 미드레인지, 전통적인 그 페이퍼콘의 재질을 살리면서도 현대적으로 응용한 그런 이제 모습이 보이고요. 그 다음에 이제 이게 15인치 드라이버인데, 이 고무로 된 서라운드를 보면은 이게 얼마나 강인한 힘을 갖고 있는지, 사실은 프로페셔널 사양의 그 제품이라 해도 무방할 정도로 아주 강한 내입력을 갖고 있습니다. 역시 프로페셔널 오디오를 만드는 JBL다운 그런 이제 모습을 여기서 또 볼 수 있죠. 이게 제일 작은 아마, 그 다음에 그 위에 휘모리, 그리고 이제 마칼루, 그 다음에 K2 이렇게 구성되어 있고요. 제일 끝에 저기 있는 이제 플래그십이 바로 에베레스트. 이게 전체적으로는 이제 프로젝트 스피커라고 해서 JBL에서 10년이나 20년에 한 번씩 그 엄청난 제품들을 내놓는데, 보통은 이제 저런 식으로 큰 제품 하나만 계속 내놨거든요. 근데 서밋 시리즈에서는 처음으로 5개의 제품을 런칭했다는 거죠. 그러니까 이런 북쉘프 스피커만 해도 역사상 JBL이 만든 모든 북셀프 중에는 최고의 스펙하고 성능 갖고 있다. 그래서 물론 이제 저런 에베레스트를 보고 정말 구입을 갈 만한 분이 많겠지만 우리나라 가정에서는 이런 제품들도 얼마든지 좋고, 그리고 또 다른 그 비슷한 사이즈의 제품보다 훨씬 더 만족도가 높다. 이것은 제가 그동안 시연을 하고 많이 들어보면서 느낀 경험이기 때문에 이번에 다시 한번 말씀드릴 수 있을 것 같아요. 자, 그럼 지금부터 하만카든의 책임자인 데이비 토비시 이 분을 통해서 좀 더 자세한 아주 디테일한 내용을 한번 들어보도록 하겠습니다.
In the JBL history, it's 80 years of powering voices. Before there was JBL, Mr. Lansing actually worked on this. This is the Pacific Bell radio. This actually is a 1931, and it still works today. And on the back, you'll see it's tubes. It's a tube amplifier.
inside.
And there is Mr. Lansing's name right on the actual. So this is the founder of the transistor radio, and everything was actually with Mr. Lansing. So this was 1931. As we in the late 1930s, Mr. Lansing came out to California, and he actually worked with the cinema team to actually make the first movie that had motion, music, and voice. Until then, it was all silent music, silent movies. James B. Lansing, with this sheer horn speaker, actually created that for the cinema industry. So that's why we have a long history, not only with sound, but with cinema. So the next product here is actually this is the commercial version. This was actually the first residential version of a sheer horn. So this actually also was made in the 30s. And this is still a Lansing product. It's not a JBL. So they actually become JBL in the 40s. So in 1940, that's when Mr. Lansing actually came out with Project Hartsfield. The Hartsfield was a product that was built to compete with the Paul Klipsch's Klipsch horn, the corner horn. And when this first came out, these are all mono. So there was no stereo music yet. So you needed to have two in each of the corners, but it was playing one singular sound. So this product was out on the market for about 5 years. And then stereo happened, stereophile. So when stereophile happened, we had to move into a more replaceable stereo sound. And this, you'll see, is the first time we're using this has compression drivers, and it has our horn design. It has the radial cabinet, which actually has a purpose. It's not just for design. It's so the first reflection is actually, so it actually makes a wider sound stage. And as you can tell, it's still playing music. This product was in the market for 35 years. So this is a Project Hartsfield. A little newer product. Some people think this was the original L100. It's not. This was actually just a two-way speaker, but this was one of the very first speakers with JBL, and it's actually got the California oak finish, which is actually the same finish that we had on our 80th anniversary product this year. So this is one of the very first bookshelf speakers. On the L26. This was the first time we started putting in the different UHF. So this allowed you to be more of a near field monitor, is what this product was actually used at, which brings us all the way into the 70s, where the L100 and the iconic, Quadrex grill was then developed. This product was very close to the folks fighting in Vietnam. So a lot of the soldiers were buying these over in Japan and bringing them home. So this had a real special place. So there's a lot of memories with the L100, and that's why we still produce an L100 today. This is actually the very first Summit. So this is actually called the L300 Summit. So you actually were listening to the Summit series. This was the first product to actually have the name Summit associated with it. You'll see that it's a pretty unique driver configuration on this. It's actually being driven, so we actually are playing these, and it's actually going through the original Harman Kardon citation amplifier and preamp. As you know, Harman, our history not only goes with JBL, but 30 other brands, including the Harman Kardon brand, where Sidney Harman paired up with Bernie Kardon. And then throughout the rest of it is the 70s. But really why you're here, we're not here to talk about the past. We're really here to talk about the future and where we are. So why don't we go into the sound room and let me walk you through some of the technology. So we've looked at the past, which brings us to the current. This is the L100 Classic 80. We only made 800 of these, and they are, each of them is signed Chris Hagen, our principal engineer. It goes back to the original brown Quadrex grill, which was only available when the first L100 came out over 60 years ago. So it's pretty special. We only made, they're all sold already. Every one of them sold. So if you were lucky enough to get one, great, hang on to it. If not, look for them on eBay or whatever you're gonna be. So now we're in present day. You saw the L100 Classic 80. Last year at Munich, we introduced the Project Series, Project Summit. Project Summit. There's only been 5 project speakers in the whole 80 years of JBL. You saw some of them out there, including the Paragon. Project Summit is the best loudspeakers that JBL has ever made. This is the best 8-inch. It's called Project Ama, the Summit Ama, the Summit Primori, Summit Makalu, and this year we've introduced Summit K2, and of course the flagship Summit Everest. Now, what makes these so special is the technology. We use the same technology throughout these. The only difference is the size of the drivers. So we wanted to have one consistent story through the whole line. So it starts with how we do our high frequency, the compression driver. This happens to be the first time this has ever been done. This is a 6 compression drivers, actually 2 back-to-back on each, firing into a single manifold. And that's just one tweeter. So imagine, you've seen small tweeters. That is a single tweeter. It's all printed out of, we're using a 3D printer, and we use aluminum because any little flaw that would have to be sanded could not be used. It has to be perfect. So we actually created that. So all of them use compression drivers. The 2 flagships use triple compression drivers. All of our speakers use multi-cap crossovers. When you open up one of our speakers, this is actually just for one of the drivers. So there's actually 2 others in that cabinet for the low frequency and for your high frequency compression drivers. You'll see the stabilization feet. These products are meant to be placed in a home, but they're heavy, but they gotta be solid to the floor. So we actually include isoacoustics feet customized for our product. Each of our drivers are made by us. Every product that you'll see from JBL, we don't shop for products, we build them ourselves. So every driver, every compression driver, every crossover is ours that we actually build, and every one of them's different. So this is the mid-bass driver for the K2. And this here is the bass driver for the K2. So technology, there's 7 new patents this year in the Project Summit series. We're very proud of the way that we use science to actually design our products. So there was a lot of science to these products. So what you've got here is the latest and greatest. It'll be another 35 years before there's another project series. So I was pleased to be a part of it. We had an incredible team, but I know you'll be happy with the results. As you can see, there's a lot of happy people here today. All right, so we talked a little bit about the Everest, the Summit Everest. to make that product really sing the way it's supposed to, we had to make a power packed system. And it started with our monaural amplifiers. This is the number 631 from Mark Levinson. We actually showed those last year in Munich. It actually just starting production this month. So these are 500 watts into 8 ohms, but each of these speakers are 4 ohm, so it actually performs at 1,000 watts. But what most people will be doing, because these are tri-wired, is they will have 3 of these for each speaker. So you'll actually have 6 mono amps. Well, each amplifier would be for an individual driver. These sell for $40,000 a piece. So there would be 6 of those. So that's $240,000 of amplifiers. And of course, you got to have a way of controlling it, which is the number 626. This is our new preamp. You'll see also when you look at our Levinson product, you'll see this very distinguished, what we call the core. It's part of the tectonic design language. It's like a volcano, and that's why you'll see a lot of red. It is the lifeline, the blood of Mark Levinson, and it's the heartbeat of what you're actually seeing. So 631s, preamp. We also have our new streamer there as well. So this is all together, the system. What you're listening to here is upwards to $500,000 US for the system. The speakers sell for $150,000, depending on how many amplifiers. They're $40,000 a piece. The preamp is $30,000, streamers $35,000, and of course the cables. Can't forget the cables. So we're here to really wow the consumer, the audiophile, and we knew we had to combine these. Having the best speaker is only as special as the best amplifier.
Di una